Hello. As I don't know exactly when you're going to watch this video, I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'll simply say greetings. And I'll stop and say that looking at myself into a camera is a whole lot harder than looking at you as an audience. But my name is Mick Scott. I'm an active duty captain in the U.S. Coast Guard, and currently I'm assigned as the commander of Coast Guard Sector Upper Mississippi River in nearby St. Louis, Missouri. I've been assigned all over the place throughout the 27 years of my career that includes some time at the Coast Guard Academy, both afloat as well as ashore on 2 different cutters. I've been assigned in headquarters in New England, Puerto Rico, the Gulf Coast, Texas. If you're a Texan, you don't share the country with anybody else. The West Coast, and immediately before this assignment here in St. Louis, I was responsible for running the Coast Guard's basic training program, or boot camp, in Cape May, New Jersey. So I don't know for sure whether I've got any Coasties in the audience or not, but if we do, and you graduated from Cape May, I perfectly understand that if you just might decide you just don't like me very much. That's fair. I get asked all the time, so what does the Coast Guard do here in the Midwest? There's no oceans here. Because I understand there are about 85 of you at the home, my best guess is that if any of you served in the Coast Guard, it's probably not more than maybe 2 or 3 of you. So I will let you in on a little of what it is that we do, not only across the country and around the globe, but also what we do here locally. Ever since the Coast Guard was established beginning in 1790 as a revenue cutter service, we've always had a focus on safety. Whether that manifested in rescue swimmers on board helicopters more recently, small boats, or our offshore cutters. Saving lives really is sort of our signature mission, and that's the one that everybody's aware of. We also perform a lot of inspections and investigations, again, safety focused really, and have again for over 200 years. And that's primarily what we do here in the heartland. Along the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois rivers, we perform inspections on all the towboats and barges that transport corn and soybeans from farmers' fields and into the market. The same towboats also bring home heating oil to much of our region to keep homes and businesses warm in the wintertime that we're approaching now. We're also responsible using buoy tenders that are assigned in 2 in St. Louis, in Keokuk, Dubuque, and Peoria, Illinois, for setting the aids to navigation that mark the channels that the Army Corps dredges for commercial industries. But that's enough about what I do. I didn't make this video to brag about the Coast Guard. I did it to say thank you for your service this Veterans Day. Before I do that, though, I'm going to do what I really should do anytime we get this many servicemen and women together. I'm going to have some fun at some of your expense. As a Coastie, being numbered by our DoD brothers and sisters is pretty common. I'm used to it. In my previous job at boot camp, the morning of graduation, our commanding officer would poll the families of recruit graduates to see how many parents had served. There were always a couple of Coast Guard parents, but far more from other services. And like you'd expect, it's the biggest branch, ton of Army green. So we'd ask how many folks from the Army, and a ton of hands would go up, a bunch of obnoxious who-ahs, you understand it. At that point, he'd share that he knew a lot about the Army. He was an Army brat as his dad served a full career. He admired his dad as a good dad, and like any dad, you always want something better for your son. So he convinced him to join the Coast Guard, and there you have it. All right, but look, regardless which of the branches that you served in, whether it was the Army or Air Force, Navy, Marines, or the Coast Guard, whether active duty, reserve, National Guard, whether you're an officer, enlisted man or woman, it is my honor to say to you in a manner that I promise is heartfelt and genuine. Happy Veterans Day. I suspect maybe in my early years I took military service for granted. My grandfather served in the Air Force. In fact, he trained not that far away at Scott Air Force Base in 1948. Had he not passed away a little less than 2 years ago, he would be 91 years old. My father served in the National Guard before he transitioned into the police force back closer to home where I grew up, near Baltimore, Maryland. And I was largely raised by my stepfather, who served in Vietnam as a Marine and then later transitioned into the Coast Guard before retiring as a Chief Petty Officer in late 1997. I think perhaps one of the reasons he retired when he did is because I graduated from the Coast Guard Academy in early 1998. I have no doubt that he was awfully proud to hand me my commission and offer me my first salute. But I suspect he got out when he did as a way of saving me the embarrassment of watching him not carry out any orders that I would have sent his way. I joke, but really and truly, serving in the military is something of a family business in my home. I'm very proud of that, and I suspect if your families are or were much like mine, then I know that military service is a point of pride for you as well. So I want to share a story about a time that I was truly touched to be a service member. And more than that, it grew my sense of reverence for the folks who came before me, folks exactly like you. About 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to support an honor flight mission. Many of you know what I'm talking about. Perhaps some of you have even taken advantage or had the opportunity to participate. In this case, it was back when it was just World War II veterans. The World War II memorial had just been opened in Washington, D.C. I was at the airport when I was stationed in Mobile, Alabama, where I was at the time, when a bus came in, dark 30, from Pensacola, Florida. And one by one, off stopped about 50 older gentlemen, all men at the time, all wearing the same shirts, same slogan on the front: "If you can read this, thank a teacher." And on the back it said, "If you can read this in English, thank a World War II veteran." At that point, while I'd say that it really took hours, maybe a couple of days because I'm a bit hard-headed, I'll break there and note that I graduated in the top 85% of my Coast Guard Academy class, which sounds impressive for a second until you think about it. But back to the story. Over some time that morning, I realized a couple of things. I realized that I was in the presence of heroes that morning, scores of them, just like I am right now. There's no denying that truly those folks in all likelihood were and always will be America's greatest generation. Suddenly, everything that I'd read in history books or heard about from my grandparents was suddenly not text or stories from a bygone era. It was right there, standing in front of me, holding on to me, talking with me. Ordinary men, in this case, older men who needed my help, and it was more than my honor to help them. It was also my duty, and it was my privilege. Again, these were ordinary men, just like each one of you. They came from towns big and small, all skin colors, different faiths, walks, and circumstances. The only thing they really had only one thing in common. They shared a commitment. Despite long odds and what must have felt like impossible conditions to preserve Americans to preserve America's freedom. And they did it. Ordinary men, including some of you, did extraordinary things. You, ensured freedom for yourself, your families, and the generations that would follow them. You did that for me. You enabled America to continue to shine as the world's beacon for liberty and for justice for all. In the decades since World War II, the American soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, and Coastie have perpetuated that legacy. That is what you have been a part of, whether you served a single enlistment or made a life out of an extended career marked by selfless service. Each and every one of you, man and woman, have preserved America's standing as the greatest bastion of freedom that the world has ever known. Whether you served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, or in peacekeeping efforts ashore inside America's borders or abroad in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, or Southwest Asia, you have made a difference, perhaps the difference, in the lives of your fellow Americans and in all of humanity. I really don't know how to close my remarks to you in a way that's rightly appropriate or fitting, so I'll simply do as my mom taught me when I was little. When somebody does something special for you and you're left without words, just look them in the eye and say thank you. So that is what I will do. You are the brave and selfless men and women who fought, sacrificed, and persevered so that my family can enjoy freedoms known by very few people anywhere around the world at any time in modern history. I do not take my life for granted, nor am I ungrateful for it. Just as I thank God every morning and every evening for what He's given me, I offer the same thanks to you right now. Thank you for your service. I wish each and every one of you a happy Veterans Day. Thank you.